The night Tupac Shakur died, it didn't just feel like a rapper got shot. Nah, it felt like the streets themselves went silent for a second. Like pain finally caught up with a man who had been running from it his whole life. And bro, that's the part people don't really understand about Pac. Everybody talks about the tattoos, the bandana, the rage, the diss tracks, the thug life energy. But underneath all that noise, man was exhausted, emotionally bleeding in places nobody could see. And the craziest part? He still kept standing. That's what made him legendary. Not because he acted tough, but because life kept punching this man in the mouth over and over again, and somehow he still found a way to scream poetry through broken teeth. And it all started before the fame, before the money, before the world knew the name Tupac. Back when he was just a kid watching his mother suffer. Afeni Shakur was strong, unbelievably strong. A revolutionary. A fighter, part of the Black Panther Party. But strength doesn't stop pain from entering a home. Pac grew up around fear, police raids, poverty, addiction, survival. Imagine being a child and already understanding what paranoia feels like, already learning how to read danger in people's eyes, already realizing the world wasn't built to protect you. Man, that kind of childhood changes a person forever. And Pac felt everything deeply. Too deeply. That was both his gift and his curse. Even as a teenager, people around him noticed it. Dude could walk into a room laughing loud, joking, acting fearless, then sit alone 5 minutes later looking like he was carrying the weight of an entire generation on his back. Because he was. That's why his music sounded different. When he rapped, it didn't feel manufactured. It felt like somebody ripping their chest open. Songs like Dear Mama weren't just records. They were confessions. He loved his mother deeply, but he also watched her struggle with addiction. Imagine that emotional confusion as a child, loving somebody with your whole soul while also feeling helpless watching them drown. That pain never left him, never, and when fame finally came, it didn't heal him. It amplified everything. Suddenly Tupac Shakur became bigger than a human being. Women loved him. The streets claimed him. The industry feared him. Young people saw him as hope. But deep down, Pac was lonely as hell. Bro could be surrounded by 50 people and still feel abandoned. That's why betrayal hit him harder than most. Especially the situation with the notorious B.I.G. At first, there was love there. Real respect. Brotherhood. Pac genuinely rocked with Biggie. But then came that night in 1994. The shooting at Quad Studios in New York. Pac walked into that building confident and walked out bleeding. 5 shots. 5. Imagine lying there in pain while your mind starts racing. Who set me up? Who knew I was coming? Who's smiling in my face but secretly wants me dead? That moment broke something inside him. And honestly, I don't think he ever fully recovered emotionally after that. Because once trust dies in a person, everything changes. After that shooting, Pac became harder, angrier, more reckless. Not because he wanted chaos, but because fear had entered his spirit. And fear mixed with pride is dangerous. Especially for a man already carrying trauma. Then prison came. Man, that prison sentence nearly destroyed him mentally. Forget the celebrity image for a second. Picture this. A young man sitting alone in a cold cell. Famous across the world. Yet completely powerless. Silence everywhere. No crowds. No music. No cheering. Just thoughts. And Pac's thoughts were heavy. He felt betrayed by the industry. Betrayed by friends. Betrayed by the system. Betrayed by America itself. But here's the wild thing. That darkness sharpened him too. While locked up, he read constantly. Studied. Reflected. Wrote. Pain was turning him into something else. Something bigger. Then came Suge Knight and Death Row Records. And bro, when Pac came out of prison and joined Death Row, it felt like a volcano erupting. Energy everywhere. Chaos everywhere. Confidence through the roof. He started moving like a man who already knew death was following him. That's what made that era feel so intense. You could hear it in his voice. Pac wasn't just rapping anymore. He was fighting. Against enemies. Against betrayal. Against the media. Against the streets. Against himself. Especially himself. Because beneath the swagger, there was still a wounded little boy, trying not to feel abandoned again. That's why his emotions exploded so fast. 1 minute he's laughing hysterically. Next minute he's furious. Next minute, he's giving heartfelt interviews about Black empowerment and poverty. Pac was a war happening inside one body. And honestly, that's why people connected with him so deeply. He wasn't fake polished perfection. He was human, painfully human. Then came the fame at its absolute peak. Movies. Hit records, crowds screaming his name everywhere. But success couldn't quiet the paranoia anymore. Too many enemies. Too much tension. Too much violence surrounding him. And somewhere deep down, I think Pac knew his time was short. There's this eerie sadness when you look back at his final months, like a man sprinting toward greatness while hearing death breathing behind him. Then came Las Vegas, September 7th, 1996. The fight, the energy, the excitement. Pac looked alive that night. Laughing. Moving around. Full of adrenaline. Nobody knew they were watching a legend during his final hours. Then the car ride happened. And suddenly, gunshots. Chaos. Glass shattering. Screaming. And just like that, the loudest voice of a generation went quiet. 6 days later, Tupac Shakur was gone. Only 25 years old. 25, bro. That's what hurts the most sometimes. He was still so young. Still growing. Still evolving. Still fighting demons. He barely understood himself. People love to romanticize legends after death. But Pac's story isn't beautiful because he died young. It's powerful because despite everything trying to destroy him, he kept giving people his truth. Even while bleeding emotionally. Even while terrified. Even while angry. He never stopped speaking for broken people. For poor people. For abandoned people. For Black kids trying to survive. For people carrying silent pain. That's why decades later his voice still feels alive. Because real pain doesn't expire. And real courage? It's not being fearless. It's waking up every day with trauma clawing at your chest and still choosing to create something meaningful anyway. That was Pac. A man full of contradictions. Full of rage. Full of love. Full of scars. A poet trapped inside a soldier. And maybe that's why his story still hits so hard today. Because deep down, a lot of people see themselves in him. The anger, the loneliness, the need to be understood, the fear of betrayal, the desperate desire to matter before time runs out. And man, whether people loved him or hated him, nobody could ignore him. Because legends don't just entertain people. They expose truth people are too scared to say out loud. And Tupac Shakur, he did that until his very last breath.